introduce our next featured reader, which is Emily. Raised in the shadow of Houston refineries, Emily Pinkerton currently lives and writes in the San Francisco Bay Area. She is an MFA candidate at San Francisco State University, and her writing has previously appeared or is forthcoming in Juked, BlazeVOX, Pith, and Leveler, among others. Her first chapbook, Natural Disasters, which is over there for sale, was recently released with Hermeneutic Chaos Press. Emily's works can be found online at thisisemily.pinkerton.tumblr.com, and her favorite color is fog.
Yeah, Emily. Well, first and foremost, thank you. I think Belro really contributed to a lot of my work in very positive ways, and I'm always really inspired by what everyone else is reading. There's a lot of talent in this room, so it's great to be here. I'll read a bunch of my chapbook and then a few new poems if there's time. Termination winds. The wind tears on for miles, carries dust down, coats every blade of grass, our rafters and eaves. Even the doorknob creaks in dry hesitation, rough with grit. The whole town turned brown, lost in a dry fog, blind and eye-stung. We retreat and wait, hunched down in alphabet houses, army issue. The species that thrive here are ugly as they are hardy. Tumbleweeds pile high, darkening doorways and windows, occasionally burying a car or a house, more likely just tearing into your chassis while you drive the freeway at night. Russian thistle, noxious weeds rolling in the wind, abscission, perfectly suited to gale forces. The air catches you like a sail, then rushes on. I should explain about this project. Many of you know it, so I think I presumed familiarity. Basically, I started with landscapes that were really viscerally inspiring to me, mostly the landscapes of my youth. So the Texas Gulf Coast during hurricane season, California during the drought, Mississippi during the Great Flood of '93, on and on and on. So we kind of moved through different places in time as we go throughout the book. This is from the Northern California section, and it's called Earthquake Engineering. 1. Half of California looks as though it's on the verge of crumbling completely. Condo buildings on dried out, eroded hills, Mariposa loam turned chalky under paltry stilts, propping up the building's foundation like some kind of suicidal dare against the next earthquake. 2. Right next door sits an old Victorian, impossibly lofted on a hill 4 stories high, when every neighboring house cut into or demolished its way into the earth. A madman's flight of stairs climbs from the curb to the front door, half a block back, half a block skyward. The houses next door built retaining walls and new foundation to hem in the soil. The Victorian towers in its monumental instability, a foreboding, fragile as a dollhouse, while its neighbors offer layers of concrete to lay on, some strained and cracking under the pressure of the earth, already, as if to say, it's only a matter of time. And so now we'll move on to Texas with some lighter childhood memories. This one's called Schoolyard. Out at the edge of the playground where you can touch the soft muzzles of the horses in the sweet-smelling pasture, where hay bales lay inside barbed wire and thick fence posts, sugared honeysuckle blossoms and dark blackberries climb the chain-link fence higher than we stand tall. The bushes are dense and we eat our fill, hide stained fingertips behind our backs from teacher. We walk back, watch Farah do a backflip. The bell rings, back to class. Idle hours, flipped pages, pencil shavings and kicked shins under the desk. The bell rings again. Wait out front and reach for the lower branches of the pecan tree. Hold with both arms and shake as hard as you can. crack shells under shoes, then taste the sweet meat. We grow tired, we throw rocks. They dislodge what we can't reach, and we take home as many as we can carry. This one's about riding bikes in hurricane runoff with my brothers. It's called Storm Torrents. Rusted chains on our bicycles, riding through 3-foot swells where floodwater pooled in our streets, paved at sea level. We laughed, water splashed behind us in fanned out arcs, rode till our legs stung from fire ants, band together, biting, clouding the surface of the water like black algae, protecting a nest that had long since washed away. Okay, I've never read these ones before, so bear with me. Bayou Songs. 1. Summer. The salty air of the bayou grows cloying and sticky, warm to the touch. Comfort, familiar in its foreboding. I sing a melancholy song down on the dock and watch an egret stalk the shallow marshes. 2. I am the fulfillment of 1,000 prophecies of long-forgotten grandmothers, every evil foretold for future generations in the shape of a wide-eyed girl. Eyes so big they once caught elders off guard and left them perplexed, now speak to constant alarm. A lifetime of worry and shock thins limbs all sinew and length, the face needlessly taut. Big eyes now ringed with crescent hollows beneath. Gaunt, I display to the world I have a restless heart, off kilter since infancy, but it has a sense for truth. 1,000 prophecies of 1,000 grandmothers, every invisible woman who spoke the truth and wasn't heard. Every word that failed to be taken to heart rests in me like a directive. Three. Too late. Sit and smell the sweet marsh grasses. Clouds rush home in the storm front, petrichor on the hot pavement. Your childhood home is only a small pile of sticks. And you, and everyone you love, even small. This is from the last chapter. It's called the chapter is called Evacuations. The poem is called New Mexico. Hard sleep interrupted. Stale breakfast, tasteless on numb tongues, empty sounds and gaping stomachs. We sped from California like light. Our engine screamed itself hoarse, my eyes strained, sun-scorched, bloodshot and unflinching. Vision grew acidic, coated in dust and dry heat. The Heartland. I wandered with hardened eyes, bewildered like a 17-year-old kid riding out the tail end of a dexedrine hallucination in a hotel bathroom. Home. Stability we only ever dreamt of. You told me we could find our way home even in those temporary spaces, in the simple action of returning. With the television muted and your guitar's gentle strummed notes, your mellow half-sung murmur, I drifted off to sleep wondering if it was meant as some kind of lullaby, if you meant to quiet the sensation of the flickering lights in the periphery. The van was littered with McDonald's wrappers and yellowed magazines, images of quaint cottages we could tear out and paste up and make pretend we too could belong in such calm, expected spaces, whenever we decided to plant our feet on dry ground, whenever we were ready. Arizona. Unrelenting miles punctuated in rehearsed twang, we vaulted through Flagstaff. I grit my teeth and drove on, shooting cactus needles. Eyes narrowed to slits at your temples, the music made my strings run sharp. Radio waves the only other things still moving in that desert. We tore through Tombstone without stopping for silver mines that served as rests and measures on better trips. Blew right through the town too tough to die, drove till we hit Yuma, paused at the old proving ground. Shrapnel bits and torn nylon in the twigs of each tumbleweed, turning in the unrelenting sun, remembered in the same breath as my first sandstorm. How am I doing on time? Yeah, okay. So, I recently moved to the East Bay, and I spend a lot of time on BART. So, first I'll start with a couple BART poems. West Oakland Station, 7:29 p.m. The junkyard dogs below stand like mythic creatures, Dobermans bred big, eating from a brushed steel bowl. In the distance, the cranes stand at attention, iron and flint in the sunset, watching the port in stillness. The train chews a winding line through thick fog, and we chase the sunset home. 1. Retracing this archaeology is like deep sea diving. It leaves me cold, disoriented. I enter a darkness, shining light that seems feeble, such limited beams. I trace old regret like light on rusted rails, grown over with coral. There is a singularity of focus. I have to remember to come up for air. 2. I dreamt of a shipwreck last night. In the way that only dreams can bend reality, I was on the Titanic in warmer waters in the present day. It was not the stately ship I'd read about. It was a cross between an aircraft carrier and a freighter. But the ship was sinking. I felt it upend and heave. I don't remember how I got back to shore, only that I did. From there, I watched the iron bow fall. I thought about its industrial paint, dull earth tones, depressing shades that never knew vibrance, even when new, colors that never dared to hope for more. 3. E.B. White once wrote of his wife, "Sometimes I feel as though I were a diver who had ventured a little beyond the limits of safe travel under the sea and had entered the strange zone where one is said to enjoy the rapture of the deep. Perhaps loving me requires entering and facing strange depths, but I see no rapture here." 4. I felt it once, with you. I found a vulnerability so deep I became a void. In that space, we connected. It felt holy, predestined. I am now convinced I willed this moment into being. 5. To dive is to search for what is lost, to presume that in finding, in recovery, there is some greater meaning. Sometimes the meaning is in the artifact itself, and sometimes you surface empty-handed. Sometimes the fruitless search is the whole point. 6. Sometimes I do not search at all. Sometimes I am merely trying to escape a wave, traversing under it, counting beats while holding my breath, waiting for a calm moment to surface safely. 7. What is there to say about the waves? Creation and destruction, unholdable forms. When we first met, you told me you had recently capsized while sailing. I think of this now. What floats and navigates safely, what takes on water and sinks. Wind on a fluid surface, the water displaced and never leaving.